Broadcasting live from the Albay PIO News Center, providing you the most exclusive news update from all over the province. This is News at 12. In the local scene, Albay is set to highlight its culinary excellence and tourism strength in the upcoming Regional Food and Travel Expo 2025, or REFTEX, happening on October 25 at the Albay Astrodome in Legazpi City. The provincial government of Albay, through its Tourism, Culture and Arts Office, is supporting the event, which celebrates the province's rich food heritage, top destinations, and sustainable tourism initiatives. With the theme Navigating Challenges and Opportunities in Resilient and Sustainable Tourism Transformation, the expo aims to boost the local economy by promoting homegrown products, tourism innovations, and community-based enterprises. The event will gather entrepreneurs, local producers, and tourism stakeholders to showcase their products and explore new market opportunities. Officials said the expo reaffirms Albay's commitment to inclusive growth and sustainable development through food, culture, and tourism, strengthening its role as a model for sustainable tourism in the region. In other story, the provincial government of Albay has reported a 64.26% utilization rate of its Gender and Development Fund for the third quarter of 2025. That is equivalent to more than 173 million pesos from a total of 270 million pesos allocated under the general program budget. Gender and Development Technical Working Group Chairperson Dr. Ruben Ondiz said the accomplishment report has been submitted to the Commission on Audit and signed by the Governor and the GAD Focal Assistant Executive Committee Chair. The provincial government also commended 15 out of the 20 implementing officers for their active participation in the program. While the zeal of good local governance requires a 75% annual utilization rate, the province is targeting 98% by year-end, reflecting its strong commitment to gender-responsive and inclusive development. In the national scene, the Department of Foreign Affairs has filed a diplomatic protest against China following another harassment incident involving Philippine vessels near Pag-asa Island. Reports said several China Coast Guard and China's maritime militia vessels carried out dangerous and provocative maneuvers targeting 3 Philippine ships. According to Philippine Coast Guard spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea, Commodore J. Toriela, China Coast Guard vessel 21559 blasted the BRP Dato Paguyawa with a water cannon and later rammed it. The ship, operated by the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, sustained minor damage, but no crew members were hurt. Toriela said the Philippine vessels were safely anchored within the country's territorial waters to support fishermen under the Kadiwa para sa Bagong Bayaning Mangingisda initiative. He also stressed that the Coast Guard will not be intimidated or forced to withdraw, saying their continued presence in the Kalayaan Island group is vital to protecting the livelihoods of Filipino fishermen. In other story, House Representative Terry Redon is urging the Independent Commission for Infrastructure to take its time to investigating the flood control project's scandal. Redon warned against rushing the probe, saying it could lead to flawed or incomplete conclusions. He emphasized that the goal should be a careful, credible, and comprehensive inquiry. Redon also called for greater transparency, suggesting that certain parts of the hearings, like the public reading of affidavits, be made accessible even under a closed-door setup. Last week, ICI Executive Director Brian Huzaka explained that confidential hearings were intended to prevent trial by publicity, reduce political pressure, and protect the rights of those involved. Under President Marcos's Executive Order Number 94, the Commission's mandate is to investigate and refer its findings to agencies authorized to file charges and prosecute those linked to the alleged anomalies. In other news, Tindig Pilipinas said it will continue holding protests until the government shows real progress in probing alleged corruption in flood control projects. Kiko Aquino D., the group's co-convener, announced that small demonstrations will be staged every Friday until there are clear results from the Independent Commission for Infrastructure's investigation. The group has been calling out what it describes as systemic corruption in public works, especially in flood control projects that have failed to ease the country's flooding problems. D noted that months after the issue surfaced, and even 3 weeks after mass protests in Manila, no cases have been filed and no arrests have been made. As public frustration grew, Tindig Pilipinas is urging the government to institute reforms that will ensure greater transparency and accountability. And in the news outside the country, the United States is reportedly providing intelligence to help Ukraine launch long-range drone strikes on Russian energy facilities. Officials said the move aims to weaken Russia's economy and pressure President Vladimir Putin to enter peace talks. U.S. intelligence reportedly guides Ukraine on flight routes, timing, and target vulnerabilities. Ukraine chooses the targets while Washington helps with planning support, while Russia accused the U.S. and NATO of feeding intelligence to Kiev. American officials have since confirmed sharing information about Russian energy infrastructure with allies. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said he recently had a productive call with U.S. President Donald Trump about strengthening Ukraine's air defenses. In other story, clashes along the Pakistan-Afghanistan border have left dozens of dead in one of the most violent confrontations in recent years. Afghanistan's Taliban government claims 58 Pakistani soldiers were killed in the fighting. Pakistan reported 23 troop deaths and killed more than 200 Taliban and allied fighters, though the numbers remain unverified. The violence erupted after Afghan forces allegedly attacked Pakistani border posts, and Pakistan retaliated with artillery and gunfire, escalating the conflict. Tensions between the two sides have been rising over Pakistan's demand that Afghanistan act against militant groups launching cross-border attacks. The Taliban denies sheltering any of those groups, and Pakistan has since closed major border crossing at Turkham and Chaman. The Taliban said it has paused attacks following mediation by Qatar and Saudi Arabia. And finally, in the news outside the country, at least 41 people are dead and 27 remain missing after torrential rains triggered massive floods and landslides across Mexico. The storms, identified as Tropical Storms Priscilla and Raymond, battered several regions over the weekend. The worst-hit states include Veracruz, Hidalgo, Puebla, and Querétaro, where some towns were submerged under more than 12 feet of water. More than 32,000 homes were damaged and power was cut off to over 320,000 residents. The government has launched emergency operations in 139 municipalities with rescue efforts still underway. Authorities warn that more heavy rains is expected, raising fears of further flooding and landslides. And that's all for the news at 12, October 14, 2025. We'll be back tomorrow for more news updates. And thanks to our news writer, Albay PIO and Naomi Ruth Hernandez. And on the technical side, Chad Bobis. And our Provincial Information Officer, OIC, Marty Gonzalez. And under the supervision of our Governor, Noel E. Rizal, I am Greg Hallare. Thank you for subscribing.